And welcome to the Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. Happy Friday. Yesterday, opening day, lots of headlines. Want to jump into maybe some school safety stuff. I have a really interesting conversation I want to have with you about like midlife crises in the millennial generation.
I've had like 3 of them.
There you go. So I think that's an interesting one too. You have an interesting like baseball story for us. A lot of neat stuff since we haven't been on in a while. Mark, how are you feeling today?
Good.
I feel like there's so many hot button things we could talk about. And I like
don't not comment on your new John Wayne sign.
My new John. Well, so here's the funny thing. So obviously, I do want to talk to you about school safety at some point today because I think it's very relevant. Obviously, given what happened this past week and just what's been going on in America for over a decade now. So I do want to talk about school safety at some point. At some point, guns are going to be brought up in the conversation. So I'm curious how that will work as John Wayne sits directly over my shoulder as we're trying to have a conversation about school safety and guns. We will see how that plays out, but that's not your fault. You didn't know. Tell everyone what John Wayne is saying behind me.
He is saying, life is hard. It's even harder when you're stupid. Apparently, that's a famous John Wayne quote.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay. I've seen it on shirts before.
Okay. When I saw it on the sign, I laughed and I was like, I'm hanging that on the wall behind Jeff. I don't know.
Because life is harder when you're stupid. But here's the thing. There is a point though where oblivious is beauty.
So ignorance is bliss. Buddy.
Yes. So there is a point like if you can be ignorant or oblivious enough, if you can transcend stupid and go far enough where you're ignorant and oblivious, all of a sudden you don't know. Life can still be pretty good.
Yeah.
For you individually, it doesn't work for the whole, but it does work for the ego, for the individual at play. MLB opening day. Did you watch any of it? Did you?
No. I thought you were talking about fishing opening day. We're talking about baseball.
Yeah, baseball opening day.
Because fishing is tomorrow, right?
That I don't know. Is this opening weekend for fishing?
It's April 1st.
Possibly.
I thought it was tomorrow. Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
It's tomorrow.
Well, you're a big fisherman, so you would know.
I just told a buddy of mine that I was talking to fun. I was like, by the way, I'm rooting for the fish. He's like, well, we throw them back anyway. I said, yeah, after you jam a hook in its mouth.
They get a meal out of it, right?
I bet that feels good.
You don't think it's like when the check comes, like you got a meal out of it, but the check still hurts. That's what it's like for the fish.
Would you rather have a check or a hook through your mouth?
I don't know. Fishing is.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. Well, because like fish, no.
You think fish have no feeling?
My favorite thing about this is you're going to lecture me about fishing and hunting and outdoorsman stuff, which is absolutely great.
You're saying it's not really in my wheelhouse.
I'm saying like think about what fish eat. Think about like you're telling me that you don't think fish, like if a fish is coming up on a crawfish, like you don't think it's like pinching them, like you don't think it's fighting back. You don't think like 90% of what a fish eats isn't like fighting back in some way. You think every meal for a fish is just like they're sitting down at a buffet and life's good?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
I don't think little fish.
All
the fish I've ever been around eat little flakes in the top of the bowl.
Exactly.
Because you do this stuff.
Like, what do you think the average largemouth bass eats?
It's a good question.
Yeah,
that is a very good question.
It's not worms.
I have no idea.
I would imagine most of what a largemouth bass is eating is fighting back.
Okay, so it's an interesting question. So if a largemouth bass is eating another little fish, are they fighting back or are they trying to get away?
Well, both, right? Like if you like the
because
fish,
it's not like there's big claws and he's like got daggers.
But most fish have the points
spiky...
on the back. Correct.
Okay, you could be right.
So I'm just saying, like I would imagine most meals for a fish are not like this smooth, like a easy consumption. I would imagine there's.
All right, I'll give you that.
That's all.
I will give you that.
So
and even if you're wrong, you've made a compelling argument.
A hook in the mouth, you throw them back. It doesn't just relatively speaking.
You're just like, well, that one hurt too.
Like I don't know, just throwing it out there.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay.
All right, opening day.
Yeah.
Oriole guy still hasn't made it out yet. Ohtani throw well, and they blew his win.
Yeah.
I saw that, like 10 strikeouts, no walks. I think he had no walks, and the bullpen gave up 2 in the 8th. They lost 2-1.
Yeah.
I
have a question for you.
The Phillies dumped. The
Ohtani
Mets
played.
won.
No one cares about who won or lost. You know why? Because no one could watch it. The Ohtani thing on the Angels, we're going to talk about that in a second. Ohtani for the Angels, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike Trout his contract is still with the Angels.
Oh, yeah.
I need you to explain this to me in like very simple baseball terms. To me, possibly the 2 best baseball players in the world, you could make the argument might be Shohei Ohtani
And Mike Trout.
And yet the Angels are not good.
Never.
I don't to me, this would be like the Chiefs having Mahomes and Kelsey. It's like the Lakers having LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't understand how you can have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani and not have a good baseball team. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, just because it's like every other sport, when there have been lots of NBA. Carmelo was on bad teams. You need depth. You need.
I agree with that.
And they just have never been able to cultivate people around him. Upton was hitting around him Upton's hitting 4th, and he's hitting 223.
Yeah.
And with all these sports, Jordan lost. There were lots of years that Jordan didn't win a title until they got the right supporting cast.
Yes. Think about what you said, though. Didn't win a title. I'm not talking about the fact that the Angels haven't won a title.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
I'm saying
they should be a playoff. They should be a wild card team.
I feel like they're not even relevant in the landscape of baseball.
Fascinating. It is fascinating how, I know the Yankees were better and they had better, but it seemed like Judge kind of carried them to the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they had, some things going on around them. But no, it's a valid point because they have one super arm, obviously, and they have 2 super bats because they're tiny bats. So,
and I'm correct me if I'm wrong. Top 3, top 5, these aren't all stars. These are
these are
these are 2 of the best players in the world. I just feel like in any other sport,
they have money. They have money. Yeah. They've spent money.
In any other sport, if I give you the best 2 players in the sport, you're making the playoffs, so again, I'm not knocking.
Think they would be able to fill some people around.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. Also, Major League Baseball, I argued about this earlier with you.
You were wrong.
Their games were on the MLB Network. The first 6 games you could not watch if you did not have the MLB Network or the app, the MLB.TV, the app.
The first 6 games yesterday.
The first 6 games yesterday. Out of 15 total games, only 2 were on national television. I do not understand the marketing strategy. It makes no sense to me. If you have a great product and you want people to see it, more than 2 games out of 15 on opening day need to be on national television.
Well,
it doesn't make sense.
The marketing push is if you're ever going to sell the MLB Network, yesterday is the day to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
People are excited. They're jacked. The baseball fans have been waiting all season.
Yeah.
And it's an impulse buy. That's what I think they went for. You think it's a bad idea? I'd have to see the numbers to see if it worked.
Yeah.
But the national, what they learn is national baseball broadcasts don't really work. Baseball is a very regional game.
Mm-hmm.
You will find people, I found this living in Baltimore, there are people who will know the Orioles inside and out.
Sure.
And can't name 3 people on the Kansas City Royals until they come to town. And you learn your opponent when they come to town because they're there for 3 days or it's on the road. But there are, it's why they'll bring back, and some TV network going to be, we're bringing back the Saturday afternoon game of the week because in the 50s, it was the only game on. So you got to watch Willie Mays, or you got to watch Stan Musial, because people sat down and watched it because it was the only game on. There were only 16 teams, and the odds of one of them having a Hall of Famer was legit. Nobody's going to sit down because of TV and because of the internet and because of DirecTV and because of the MLB package. No one's going to sit down and watch the Twins. So Sunday Night Baseball is kind of like
But this is, yes. So you get 6 months where it's kind of most people, okay, opening day out of those 6 months is 1 out of 4 days where people actually aren't they actually are excited about the fact that baseball is on television. So maybe out of 1 out of 6 months, 1 day out of the 6 months where people are maybe instead of 2 games out of 15, maybe try to get half your games on national television. Like maybe take advantage of the fact that people are on opening day.
But
That's all I'm saying.
they're trying to sucker the people in.
Sucker is the key word. Sucker is the key word. Because if your product is good enough, you don't need to sucker people into it. You don't have to sucker people into it. Here we go. Lisa says, I have MLB Network. Couldn't find the O's game, but I had the Phillies game on multiple channels.
Well, the O's game was interesting. The Phillies lost. They may never win again.
Don't talk. You're supposed to console Lisa. Lisa, we understand you couldn't find the game. I feel bad for you. The MLB is awful. The MLB needs to get their stuff together.
Maybe Lisa was poor channel surfing.
You're gonna blame Lisa.
I don't know.
Don't blame Lisa. A lot of headlines here. There was an indictment I'm sure you've heard about.
You know what? I heard about it like late and little, and I even had to ask when we got here today. Mm-hmm. It was an indictment about the Stormy Daniels, right? Because supposedly now they're pursuing something in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
My whole and I know very little of the strategy. I know the Stormy Daniels hush money, and that's what I know. I'm just surprised. Well, I'm kind of surprised that if they were going to go after Trump with any charge, that this is what they went after. But I guess it does show, as much as everyone thinks it's all conspiracy, somewhere in some jurisdiction, you needed a DA who was like, I'm going to do it. And it just happened to be this one. And it's not like that, this wasn't like a Democratic Party strategy that they were like, all right, well, which one would be the best one to pursue first? You needed someone in the legal realm who's like, yeah, I'll do it. And they did it. I think it's still surprising to me, though, that
this was it. I still think I think what happens is eventually over time, somebody just finally went like, I don't care, something's got to stick. I think that's, in my opinion, that's what's happening.
I mean, here's the other thing. Does anyone
care? Were you going to say care?
I was going to say care.
Democrats care very much.
Okay, well, let me backtrack that. And because maybe there's more to this and I just haven't delved in.
Yeah.
He paid her hush money?
Yes.
For what?
Well,
hush what? That they had sex?
So I don't know exactly what the hush money, like what was being hushed. I know that part of the problem, they keep bringing in the fact that it was during a campaign. So I don't know if that means the funds were part of the campaign. I don't know if it means that like it was strategized within the campaign. There has something to do within these allegations, something within the indictment. For some reason, the campaign is a very important part of it. The fact that it was part of an election process is very, very important. Because I don't know if it would, I don't want to say that it wouldn't stick, but I don't know what would be happening right now if it would have happened in if the hush money would have been given in 2012. I don't know what would be happening right now.
I get it. And I guess if it came from campaign funds, maybe that's illegal. I mean, I would assume it's illegal.
We would be speculating that because I don't know what the direct connection is from what I've read. I just know that the fact that it happened during an election, during a campaign, has something to do.
So this is my common sense view again, and I certainly haven't delved into this because as I'm asking, do people care? Obviously, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But what did he pay her? $100,000 or $125,000?
I don't know the exact number.
But it was $6. So if it is the local Kiwanis, if somebody pays $100,000 in hush money to something, that's a big deal. Because all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, Donald Trump pays $100,000 to go golfing.
Sure.
kids. We aren't as willing. Sorry.